Welcome home to USA Global TV and Radio, a place where dreams take flight, with authentic storytelling, diverse perspectives and meaningful conversations, where global stories unite and bridges are built beyond all borders. Discover world-class education, entertainment, hope and inspiration. Together, we're building bridges worldwide. Subscribe to our channel, USA Global TV. Download our app, USA Global TV. Be our guest or join our team. Visit usaglobaltv.com. Thanks to our founder and executive producer, Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck. Music score by Yeffy Tang from Cloud Road Music. Voiceover artist Mike Porter. Creative direction by Paul Garcia. USA Global TV and Radio. Your home for global connection. All rights reserved. This video and its contents are the exclusive property of USA Global TV and Radio. Unauthorized use, duplication or redistribution in any form is strictly prohibited.
What happens when the noise in the world becomes so loud that we stop listening to each other? Is there a way to bridge our way back to loving, honoring, and trusting one another? In other words, can hope be re-embroidered? We're going to look at this subject and dive into it with my co-host today here on the Power Index. Our topic today is the peace song. Can conversation change the world? Joining me is internationally renowned broadcaster, my dear friend and mentor, Mr. Ian Pelham-Turner. Welcome, sir.
Good afternoon, Jacalyn. Well, the sun is shining through my window in London, which is a bit of a freaky situation because it's been really cold up till now. So you've obviously brought the sunshine into my life, as you always do. I think today, again, we've got a great guest just about to come on, and I'll introduce her in a second. And quite honestly, I'm in awe of this young lady. So if I may then, can I bring on board Shahid Karim, who's an entrepreneur. She's a writer. She's really an activist. She's everything that I value in a woman.
Let's welcome her to the show. Hello.
I can't hear. I cannot hear you.
Okay, well, while she is working on that, Ian, you and I will just have a quick conversation.
I cannot hear, sorry. Don't know if you can hear me.
So, Ian, if you could go ahead and share a little bit. You and I have been friends and been working together. We've met in person numerous times. And I know that you are a big advocate for women. And that's part of the reason why we're doing this show, women and the men who listen. And you are right there at the top. So tell us why you're so passionate about this.
I think it comes back from a long time ago. 25 years ago, I went through a very messy divorce. It broke my heart. I went from hero to zero in 2 years. I ended up at that time living in a car, and obviously I was in a great despair. Women came to my rescue, circled me with love, and I started seeing the values of womanhood. As I gradually came out of this terrible time in my life, I realized that women were there at all times, were showing me kindness, respect, and support. And I think, the tremendous values of women, which I call womanhood, are something that in reality these days is very, very important to actually recognize and really sort of think that this is a great way of actually moving forward in women's lives. And so many times I hear that, women sort of almost question, can they do something? Can they do something with their lives? The answer for me is yes. And I suggest a thing that I talk about a lot when I talk with women in women's groups especially, and it's called the flip. And so the flip is the thought in the head of can I ? And I flip it to I can. Because in reality, that way, you can actually start realizing that anybody can recognize and do anything with their lives, especially women. And there's been a lot of times when I've been talking to mixed groups of people. And I remember one occasion where you've been to UPF, Universal Peace Federation in London as well, where I'm a patron. And one night I was talking to this group of quite austere men. There were about 70 odd austere men looking at me intently as I was just about to give my talk. And in the middle of this group of men were these 4 ladies. And so I thought, I've got to say something about this. So I said, good evening, gentlemen, and good evening, ladies. And I said, gentlemen, do you realize that women are much more cleverer than men? Now, a lot of these men were from sort of realistic religions, Muslim religions and that time. And they started looking at me as if I'd gone mad. But these 4 ladies got up and clapped. And so, and I think the point I was making at the time is that in reality, I think if women were much more able to rule the world in different ways, this world would be a much kinder, much more valued place to actually live in. And I know with, that what is happening now, the reality is, Rashad especially, is that she's the epitome, and so are you, Jacalyn. You are 2 modern women who are making it in this world in the most tremendous way.
Thank you.
And I think doing this, and these types of shows today really prove it, because we've all gone through difficulties in our lives. I know that. And we've all come through those difficult times. And we want to show other people, especially women, that it is time now that women must think, I can do this. I can do this. And if anything stops it, don't allow it to happen. Just move with the times. Know that you have great value in your life, and know that the type of commitment that you make to whatever you want to do in your life is so valuable to the rest of the world.
Absolutely. I agree with that. Welcome to the show. I'm so glad that you're here. Technical problems happen, but what's your response to what you heard Ian share today?
Ian, I look up to Ian. He inspires me because he understands and he very attentive. I completely agree. I feel we need to break the taboo of not being able to talk about subjects and topics that in our culture and society, they find it uncomfortable. This is where we need to start. We need to sit down and speak about situations, things that we suffer behind closed doors. This is where the platforms, for example, your platform, our platforms, where we provide help and we provide direction in a way. Because, for example, my story, my backstory, I am a survivor of domestic abuse, also an author, poet. So through my creativity, I found my voice through art. So when I started to write, that was a way for me to survive very, very difficult times in my life. So through that, I ended up writing my debut novel, Hope Pre-Embroidered, which explores themes of coercive control, hidden trauma, identity, and survival. A lot of my work focuses on the psychological realities of abuse that people often do not see or fully understand. We need to be able to speak more about these topics. So yes, I think it's not only women. There's men out there also struggle with domestic abuse. Also, they cannot express their emotions and feelings. And they need to come forward and be vulnerable. These are the places we need to change the way we see relationships. Vulnerability needs to be seen as a way of communication. I think that's a lot of reasons why relationships struggle, because people don't know how to communicate.
I think that that's such good advice, and you've hit the keynote. The keynote is having a voice. And this is what I say to women all the time. I gave another talk recently, and it was to, I think it was about 70 to 80 women. I was listening to all the other keynote speakers, and they were saying it's not possible for women to do this, and you have to do this to actually do that, and legally, and all this type of thing. And I was getting more and more concerned about what was going on in women's minds these days, because from my mind, women can do anything. There's no, I understand there are barriers, but you have to overcome the barriers. I had to overcome the barriers as well. On the 4th of July, Americans' Independence Day this year, I celebrate 60 years as a journalist. So how I've survived this, I do not know. But the thing that is really important, I think, is exactly what she just said, was have a voice, speak. And I said recently to this ladies' audience, I said, there's, when I was asked to sort of speak, I said, there's one key ingredient, one word that will change your lives for the better. And you could see these 80 women sort of leaning forward just to hear what my word of wisdom was. Speak. That was the word. Just speak. Because what women have, I think, in real terms, is just as much value, and in a lot of cases, more value. And I take on board what you're saying about men as well. I think communication, the communication that Shahid is able to do, that you're able to do with this channel, Jacalyn, is nothing short of miraculous. What you've done, the two of you, over several years now, has created something that really brings value to the world. Breathe it in, is what I say to women. Breathe in the power, breathe in the excellence, breathe in the values that you really naturally have, and everything else will sort of work in its place. I mean, I always say to people, and it's quite true, don't think I'm clever, because I'm not. I mean, the two of you are far more cleverer than me. I've somehow managed to sort of scrape through 60 years, of what I do. But I think it's very important that women recognize this one thing, is that you are capable of doing anything.
I appreciate that. And a comment that I have for the two of you, which I just would like to have as a discussion point. I think we do need to speak up, but I think part of speaking up is how we share our voice. And for example, there's so much hatred in the world. There are so many people who are on social media who are giving their opinions constantly, and there's nothing productive coming from it. It's filled with hatred, anxiety, fear. And we all know that that's because there's something underneath that's not addressed. So my question for you is, it's the title of our show is Peace is the Song. Can communication change the world? How can we speak up and at the same time be respectful of one another? Because I think that really means a lot. Ian, what are your thoughts?
I think the reality is, how do you create respect? You create respect by being who you are. It's as simple as that. And so every day I try to do positive things. I try to see the value in people. I don't judge people in any way. I meet people of all different persuasions, political and activists and so forth. I don't judge anybody in that way. What I want to do is, in Britain, I have a legacy. My legacy is to actually the wish that every person in Britain, every citizen in Britain, however their age, whatever their color, whatever their religion, all are seen as first-class citizens in Britain. And that's the legacy that I feel that is necessary to have. And I think, when you have situations where people are judged in any sort of way at all, then it becomes a barrier for them to move forward in their lives. And so, you know, when I look at things and when I look at, you know, what women are facing today, you know, that they are facing all sorts of obstacles. And I get that. We are here to help. It is as simple as that. I mean, Jacalyn, you've got a course that teaches people how to actually become broadcasters and brings the values of that, you know, to the world as well. But you've also created something. I take my hat off to both of you. If I had a hat, I would take it off, because basically, I think you're amazing. I think the two of you are absolutely amazing at what you do. You know, and I want you to be happy. I want you to smile. I want you to have that instinct, not a killer instinct, but that instinct that you could actually do anything with your lives, because you can. And you're proving that every single day of your lives anyway. And I think, you know, women, I just get this feeling that women, sometimes when they are just young girls, their mothers tell them, don't expect too much from life. No, I cannot take that on board in any way, shape or form, because, you know, I was very lucky. I had parents that, you know, when I first became a journalist, I mean, they did everything they possibly could to actually, you know, help me move forward with my life. Women must have that same situation in their lives, so that you can actually show that that it's not even proving yourself, because why do you have to prove yourself? I don't believe in proving yourself. It's already instinctively there. What do you think?
Can I just say something? I really believe age is just a number. I had to rebuild my identity only a few years ago, because when I was born, I was told, this is who you are, this is your capacity, and this is what you're capable of, and that's about it. So it took me years to find who I am, because I felt this is not really me. There's more to me than what I have been labeled throughout my life. So I really discovered my voice again only a few years ago. I honestly think it's never too late. There's always an opportunity to find who you are. Sit with yourself and try to only listen to your own voice and your own. There's I always believe there's a fire inside us. There's this strength that keeps us going. And a lot of the times, this is what gets conditioned and it gets dimmed. So that fire inside us, it hasn't reached its full potential, because there's a lot of voices that's trying to say, oh, you're not capable, you're a mother now, you're getting too old, you can't start over at this age. So that's why, you know, I advocate for human rights, really, because everyone experiences abuse, everyone experiences some sort of injustice out there. So for me, it's that constant voices. It could be a mother, father, ex-partners, or just say you're not capable, or it's too late now. So I kind of defeated that. It took me a lot of work, therapy, 3 years to almost 4 years of therapy to break the chains. My mind is, the thing is, it's invisible chains. It's all here. This is what's created. These are the obstacles that it's really hard to pinpoint what is the problem, why I'm not capable. But unfortunately, abuse doesn't have to be physical. You know, there's coercive abuse, psychological abuse, and that is all sorts of abuse is hard, but the invisible is really difficult to prove and to understand. So I do believe, Ian, yes, it's never too late. Just believe in who you are, believe in your voice, and don't listen to any negativity. Just learn from it and believe in yourself.
Thank you for sharing that. And also thank you for being brave and being transparent about some of what you went through, because I know that can be hard. And actually doing something, doing the work, and then coming forward, I just really applaud you for that. One of the things that you said that really resonated with me is sitting in the silence, sitting by ourselves and really processing our thoughts. I know so many people who cannot do that. In fact, I know people who live alone, but they have multiple televisions that are running constantly because they don't want to be alone with their thoughts. What would you share with them about getting in touch with who you are and not being afraid?
To be honest, sometimes you really need to be willing to get the help out there. There is professional help. Sometimes it's just difficult to accept that you can trust professionals. So when you're sitting there and you have years of abuse or years of loss of confidence, insecurities, you rely on reassurance so much. And you have trust issues and mental health, but a lot of times we don't really understand that we have mental health until we kind of go out there and reach to a trusted professional. So I would advise, and I would suggest, I shall say, try to look at resources out there. Try to understand the community within your own community. What help is available? Even just groups, there's group sessions. Go out there, speak to other women or men. They could have the same experience. I do understand how difficult it is to get up. And, I was reading the other day, it takes people 5 to 7 tries to leave an abusive relationship. So imagine having to understand who you are, understand yourself. It's a journey. It's something that it does not end. Healing is a journey. Once you discover that you're capable and you have an identity, you are an individual human being, that a lot of people, unfortunately, throughout my life, I had so many people stand in the way, telling me that I'm too loud, I'm too vocal. This is not part of the culture. This is not part of the religion. So it's like you have to put everything aside. I do feel it's a rebirth. It's having to be a newborn within your own, but a newborn as an adult, mature. You have an understanding to who you are, what do you want, and question. I just want to tell people, question everything. At times you have to, because I was born saying this is right, this is wrong, but why is this right and why is this wrong? I remember growing up being told don't question, because that's not part of, for example, religion, or that's not part of the culture. No questioning. So I grew up believing that even in my head, questioning was wrong. So there's a lot of things you have to kind of break to reach to the foundation and just work on yourself.
Absolutely. I agree with that. And I've also have survived being abused, and it is hard to find your voice. I know for me, I got ulcerative colitis and I've had it for 35 years. And now I talk about it as much as I can for people to come forward, because when we are silent, it's sort of stewing and building inside of us. But one thing that you mentioned, and Ian, I'd like your view on this as well. What I heard growing up was a lot of be seen and not heard, do as you're told. And so you hear these things and they start peeking out at times when you don't expect. You're like, oh, I shouldn't be saying anything. And I know when I was in corporate, I worked with mostly men, and I basically kept my mouth shut because I felt like, well, the same people keep talking. Nobody wants to hear from me. And other people are doing that too. So how do we break those patterns?
You simply speak. It is as simple as that, because the reality, first of all, and I take on Shahid's issue as well, what she did and what is most important is to reach out. If you're in pain, if you're with problems, if you're in trouble in any way, reach out. Men are very bad at that. I was very bad at that. trying to reach out at a time when, before my divorce, I was the rock, quite honestly. I was earning a lot of money. I had a lot of power, a lot of influence. Anybody that had any issues, money issues, I could just give them money because, I was, quite well off in that way. And then suddenly, when all that closed down and I had no idea who I was, all the 2 years on and off that I lived in a car, I can't remember it, first of all. It's like I knew I was doing it, but I don't know why. And it was only when, and I was working for a newspaper, that was the worst part of it as well. But it was only when I started to reach out, and Helena Shard, my great friend, who's the co-presenter on Royally Rich Lifestyle Show, when she took control of me in to start off with, and thank goodness she did. She was the first influence that I had where she didn't allow me to feel that nothing was going to happen to me, that I could not move forward in my life. And she gave me the resolve, the courage, and the values I needed. And then I just got surrounded by these beautiful women in my life who really brought me back together again. And I think it's very important, yes, to reach out in the first place. And I think, where we are in our lives right now, trying to create something in our lives is going to be even harder. All sorts of things are taking over. AI could literally take over our lives before too long. And we must not allow that to happen in one way, because AI is great in some ways, but if it starts becoming our mind, our resolve, our brain, our values, and what we're going to do, then who controls that message as well at the same time? And I think women nowadays, I can only totally, constantly, always give the total respect to women and what they're doing with their lives. I mean, you're like tigresses at times, fighting off all sorts of adversities, I'm surprised there's not sort of tiger stripes on your body, because, it is that sort of type of strength that you have that is just, it is unbelievable. And I think, shows like this are really designed now where women can come on, or they can question afterwards, and we can actually talk to them and give them the comfort of knowing that everything that they do is right. There's nothing wrong with, talking against things as well. And you see, and the two of you, I mean, I'm sure, without being too, I'm sure neither of you could actually keep your mouth shut too much in life. I think you've got opinions of your own, and sometimes you probably came out of a meeting with men and probably wanted to explode.
Yeah, that's very true. It's very true. But one thing I think that the three of us here, we are all supportive of each other and of people finding peace and of people being successful. But what I've also seen, and I'm sure the two of you have seen this, that not everybody feels that way. Not everybody wants you to succeed. Some people secretly are hoping that you fall flat on your face. So what can you share about your experience with this?
Oh my God, it's just so close to home. Do you know what? It's just so surprising to me. I've seen it completely. Do you know, the thing is, sometimes when you're doing something very natural, because that's something you love, and someone says, they sometimes struggle to say congratulations. This is how shocking. I have experienced many times where I was confused with certain behaviors. I was confused why people, certain friends can't tell me, oh, you published a book. Oh, they struggle, but they watch my stories. I see them watching, but nobody, a friend wouldn't say, oh, you published a book, congratulations. It just kind of makes me so surprised why people struggle, even though they knew my journey. They knew I'm a survivor. Do you believe that 2 years ago I was made homeless? I had to escape an abusive relationship. I was in a marriage for many, many years. So I had to escape. I started my life all over again. I left behind businesses, and surprisingly, friends knew all of this, but a lot of them kept seeing me rising, not giving up, even, creating community events. I helped to raise money for charities. Even though I was homeless at some point, I attended events at that time and went on stage many, many times. I performed all over the UK, and nobody knew at that time I was trying to be in touch with refuge, trying to find accommodation. So during even that time, I had no home. I had to collect my things in bin bags. I had to have police escort me to my old place for safety to collect my things. At the same time, I was performing. I was going on stage. I was writing Hope Embroidered. I was going to community events, raising money. And people who knew me knew I left an abusive marriage. Nobody reached out to me. Nobody reached out to me. And every time I'm determined to rise. I'm determined not to give up. That's why everything that I create has something that's so close to my heart, because I've experienced having no home, losing financially. Like I had to basically go on zero. Like everything I built, I left home at the age of 18. I came to London. I started, having my businesses, financially stable, but I was in a physical and mental abusive marriage for many, many years. I kept trying. I have children. I couldn't escape. I was fighting. I said, Shah, there's more to you. There's more to you. You know what? I don't care about money. I'm going to give up everything and just escape. I even said, I don't want to reach 39 and still be in this abusive marriage. So back to your question, I was in the darkest place, even still on my feet, reaching out, I published 2 poetry books during that time, trying to, escape, trying to do court or hearing, having custody over my kids. I was going in and out, fighting, it's not easy. Survivors don't leave with much. A lot of the times they leave in bin bags and they lose everything. So what I'm trying to say, even though people knew I left everything, they still struggle to say, wow, you're still making it. They actually think, what? She has a home now. She's rebuilt. She's published another book. She has her she created this podcast, Re-embroidered Conversation. She's still looking. Well, I hope I still take care of myself. I still get out of bed, have a shower, wash, put makeup. Still, I am here. I survived, and I'm proud to say I've survived hardship. But it's surprising that people know all of that, and they're like, oh, she's still making it. How did she publish another book? How is she still on social media or relevant or going on events? But I tell you this, you live for yourself, because your happiness is important. Because when you lose everything and you have nothing, you realize no one is actually there for you apart from yourself. And that's why I don't feel it's taboo to speak about my story, because it's me, it's who I am today. And I'm happy that I'm not bitter about what happened to me. I love everybody, and I want peace, and I want to speak to everyone, and I want to put politics aside. And here we are.
Wow. I am so honored to know you. Thank you for sharing that. While you were speaking, I was trying to envision you up on the stage, your things in bins, you have nowhere to go. And the amount of strength and fortitude that it took for you to do that, I can't even imagine. And yet people watching and thinking, because this is how people are, by the way, how bad could it have been? I mean, let's be honest. Look, she's out there doing that. She looks beautiful. She's intelligent. She's writing books. It couldn't have been that bad, because people don't want to get involved and actually look at what is going on, because somehow they might have to look at their own life. They might have to say, you know what? I wasn't there. I saw the signs. I didn't do anything. So let's just look away. And as you continue rising, they're like, I hope she fails. I hope she fails. I hope she fails. It's terrible, but that's
it's terrible. Sorry to interrupt you. And the worst part is, from old friends, I don't speak to them. They say, my abuse is not as bad as yours, because she couldn't leave. And I was like, I really don't like that. I don't like when people come and say, oh, but it was mental for me. It wasn't physical. So it's like, I don't understand. It's like they have to give these comments out, you know.
so
Or
true.
we don't like the way you live, or I'm not happy with your lifestyle, family members, for example. And you're thinking, instead, maybe ask, do you need anything? How is your mental health? So there's a lot of things that you hear. People can comment and they be very negative, but they won't do anything about it.
No, that's for sure. And again, thank you so much for being brave. And just one statement I want to make. There's a show on Netflix right now, not a paid spokesperson, but it's called The Worst Ex Ever. I don't know if you have it there in the UK.
I watched it.
Okay. I watched it too. And by the way, it was really taking me back to places I don't really want to go. And I talked to a couple of women about it. And the comment was, for the one episode, oh, she saw the red flags, but she didn't do anything. And I thought, you don't get it. You haven't been in the situation, so you don't get it. But the comment was, it was her fault. It was her fault. It was her fault. No, it wasn't her fault. She didn't know that that's what was going to happen to her. And people just sit in judgment instead of actually coming from a place of compassion and empathy. And that is what I think is missing in this world.
Yeah. Trauma bond is real.
And I was going to say, the whole point of this show is to turn survivors into thrivers. This is the whole point of this show, to actually show to women right across the world who watch shows like this, you can succeed, you can get over any type of adversity in your life at all, and you can move forward with your life. Age has got nothing to do with it, quite honestly. And, you know, for me personally, to be able to work with wonderful ladies like yourselves, it's an honor. It's a privilege.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. That is beautiful. Can you tell us about your book? We're going to bring your book up, and tell us, what is it that you want people to take away from reading the book?
I want people to understand that this is a place where abuse is on the table. All sorts of abuse you can think of. This is a generational abuse that carries, it's about identity, hidden trauma. A lot of the work focuses on what's happening behind closed doors. It looks pretty from the outside, but do you know, I always laugh. I said, do you know that they say, don't judge the book by its cover? When you go inside, it is very raw, very intense. It kind of, I want people to understand this is from the heart, and this is a journey of pain, survival, and finding your voice again.
I'm so glad that you said that about the book cover, because we can judge a book by its cover. And so it is very pretty, and you do look at it and have these feelings of, I think, kind of calm and peacefulness. But obviously what people are going to get by reading it is very different. Ian, what's your take when you see the cover?
It's just wonderful. You see that for me, hope, quite honestly, is so important in life. Hope to be able to sort of make change, hope to actually bring value to people. And it's what the two of you do in spoonfuls, in mega spoonfuls, you know, to actually sort of create the values in other people's lives. And as I say, this was what I'm just saying just now, is that we don't want women to survive anymore. We want them to thrive. And if we can sort of show with all our guests and with our own experiences of the types of things that can actually happen to give people hope, that's all people want. They need the hope and to know that whatever is in their head to actually what they want to create for themselves, it will happen. You know, and I think probably one secret that I learned was that I was very lucky from a very early age. I started doing a job that I loved, and I've loved it for 60 years now, you know. And I think one of the secrets for women especially is look at things that you're really passionate about and focus on those things especially, because everything else will fall into place. If you jump out of bed, as I do in the mornings, happy, with hope in my heart, that is the feeling we want to get to women right across the world.
I'm so sorry. I have a problem with the phone. It just keeps logging me out.
That's
Sorry
okay.
about
You're
it.
back. You're back. So we're closing out this show. Who would you like to reach out to you? And you have a podcast. We haven't heard anything about that. Do people have an ability to register, or is it you're asking people directly?
It's on YouTube. It's called Re-Embroidered Conversations. It's a discussion series, like we talked earlier, centered about taboo subjects hidden in families and communities, including, you know, emotional abuse, trauma, shame, identity, healing, and recovery. They can find me on YouTube, Re-Embroidered Conversations. They can follow me, Jacalyn, on Instagram. Yes, and yeah, that's it. That's exactly it. And I have a book launch. It's actually in Coventry. So yeah, I'll be traveling around the UK promoting my book, also doing some signing. I'm constantly updating on social media. It's just wonderful to come today and join both of you amazing people. Thank you for giving me the platform.
Thank you so much for being here. I really do appreciate it. It was wonderful having you both here today on the Power Index, Women and the Men Who Listen. So I look forward to Ian seeing you again. And our beautiful guests, thank you so much for being so strong. Please do come back and see me on one of our other shows. I'd love to interview you myself.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Thank
Bye
you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. I want you to leave with this in mind. Whatever you're going through today doesn't have to be the final thing that goes on in your life. Whatever you're dealing with can come to an end. You can make a choice. And sometimes we need help. We've got to find help. We've got to ask people to help us, to support us, to believe in us. And that can be frightening. So choose wisely. The people that you have in your circle are a reflection of you. I know there's an expression about the 5 people that you keep close. They're a reflection of who you are. So choose your circle wisely. And when your intuition is telling you something doesn't feel right, go with it. Because I found when I didn't listen to my intuition, I made mistakes. And when I did, I was so happy that I did that. I never expected to be on this platform where I am today. I was doing something completely different. And someone believed in me. Ian believed in me. Other people believed in me. And so here I am today. So you believe in you and you follow your dream. And whoever is standing in your way, look at it and say, is this someone who was put in my life so that I could learn something? And then take whatever it is that you're to learn and move forward. Thank you again for being here. I hope that you will follow us on YouTube. I'm going to bring up the graphic. I know you can watch many different places. We'd really love you to go over to YouTube and subscribe to our channels, USA Global TV and Radio and Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck. YouTube gives us real information. And if you do any research, that's where people are watching. So that's where we want you to watch us. And we do appreciate it. We're going to leave now. If you know anyone who is losing their memory. Maybe it's someone you love. They can't remember things. It could be the signs of dementia or Alzheimer's. I had a mother I loved very much, and she had dementia, and I was her full-time caregiver. And to watch someone you love lose their mind is a very difficult thing, but you don't have to go through it alone. Tracy Cram Perkins, who's one of our team members here, she's written a book that is absolutely outstanding. I've had multiple copies of it that I've given to other people. It's called Dementia Home Care Before, During, and After. Please take a look at this. And Tracy also has her own show here with the same topic. Again, there are resources. Whatever you're going through in life, you don't have to do it by yourself. Let's take a look. USA Global TV and Radio proudly presents Tracy Cram Perkins, a dementia caregiving survivor teaching how to balance care with peace of mind. #1 resource for dementia caregivers. It's the book Dementia Home Care: How to Prepare Before, During, and After. Over 17,000 copies sold of this must-have guide. And now a testimonial from Tracy Smith.
If I was to describe this book to someone who is going through a similar situation, I would underscore how important it is to have some sort of a tool or a guidebook to help you through certain stages. And there's so many, it's such an unknown topic to the average person. And to have this as a reference is essential. It's going to help you get through it personally, as well as help your loved one manage.
To learn more, go to TracyCramPerkins.com. Tracy Cram Perkins is an award-winning author. She's also the host of Dementia Home Care television show. Watch it here on USA Global TV and Radio.
How much of your value have you been giving away? Saying yes when the answer should have been no? Lowering your price to secure the opportunity? Giving more while receiving less? Over time, it adds up. Until one moment brings clarity, you've been giving away your value. This is not about working harder. This is not about doing more. It's about boundaries. It's about pricing. It's about respect. From Dr. Jacalyn comes a direct and necessary message. Stop over-delivering. Stop underpricing your expertise. Stop negotiating against yourself. Because when you recognize your value, everything changes. Stop giving away your value. Boundaries, pricing, and the business of respect. Available now wherever fine books are sold and on Amazon. A film by USA Global TV and Radio. Executive producer Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck. Videographer and cinematic production Paul Garcia. Voiceover by Ed Wargas. Stop giving it away. Start owning it.
Thank you, viewers and listeners of USA Global TV and Radio, for joining us today. We're honoured to have your time and attention as part of our global community. At USA Global TV and Radio, we believe in the power of authentic conversations, meaningful connections, and creating a world of possibilities together. Want to be part of something bigger? Join our team of elevated listeners at USAGlobalTV.com, a space where your voice matters and your ability to listen transforms relationships. Stay connected with us across all our platforms for thought-provoking discussions, expert insights, and empowering stories. Subscribe to our channels at youtube.com/c/USAGlobalTV. Follow us on social media and explore the endless opportunities we're creating for growth, learning, and inspiration. Together, we're not just broadcasting, we're building bridges and changing lives one conversation at a time. For inquiries, contact us at info@usaglobaltv.com. Produced by Executive Producer and Director Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck. Voiceover by Mike Porter. Creative direction by Paul Garcia. All rights reserved. Visit usaglobaltv.com to view our full terms and conditions.